Hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Hope everyone is well today. We're going to have a bit of a different live stream today. We have a guest, Kaspa Silver. Hello, my friend. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me on. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. So, this is going to be a deep dive into Kaspa, guys. So, I want to, first of all, introduce a friend of the channel, Kaspa Silver, right here. He has a full channel, literally, dedicated to Kaspa. So, he's as bullish as you can get. He's going to give us a good overview about Kaspa, about fundamentals, and what his channel stands for, etc. So, I'll let you start with all of this, and then, of course, I'm gonna get to some of my questions and some of the questions from the audience. So, yeah, take it from here, my friend.
Yeah, so basically just gonna kind of just talk about why I do what I do and where I came from really. And I kind of think of the clip of Michael Saylor. I don't know if you've seen it. Every time someone asks him what is Bitcoin, he just takes that like deep breath and he's like, I gotta go through it all. But yeah, ultimately, I've been in the crypto space since the last bull market back in like 2020. I'm currently only 21 years old right now. And I originally started like anyone else, typically just uh, looking at coins and seeing pumps and buying on the pumps. And basically just did not know anything about cycles, did not know anything about really how to value a cryptocurrency, why something may go up in the future, how to look at all those things. So I kind of just got my first experience in last bull market and kind of tried it all. I tried NFTs, I tried meme coins, I tried solid projects. I held things like Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that kind of stuff. And really didn't come out making any significant profits. I kind of just learned. And I also did not have that much income at the time. So I wasn't really investing as heavy as I do now. But it was a good learning experience. But during that time, I kind of just got tired. It was kind of towards the beginning of last year where I was currently NFT trading, and I was kind of just in the VeChain area, just NFT trading, and it was actually going pretty well. But I don't typically like investing that way. I don't like trading. I don't like doing those things. I kind of like to be able to put my money somewhere and just let it work for me while I kind of just enjoy my life and work hard and just keep growing my wealth. So eventually it just dawned on me to really just look into Bitcoin and understand why Bitcoin stays number one. Why does it always remain there? I mean, if a lot of people took that path, I think it would help them out tremendously in trying to vet a project and figuring out if they should really consider investing into projects. But ultimately, I was getting orange pilled basically and started almost becoming a Bitcoin maxi, sort of. But I knew I was never going to be one because I do believe in diversification in a sense, not over diversification, but I just do believe that Bitcoin won't be the only cryptocurrency to gain in value over a long period of time. I think there's other cryptocurrencies that could do it. Now, it's of course choosing the right one. And for me, I really loved Bitcoin's fundamentals, the uniqueness of it with the anonymous founder, the fair launch of it. I started learning about VCs and why these projects pump so easily, and it's because they have huge allocations to founders and VCs and private investors. And ultimately, especially living in the US, you would know that the SEC has its hands on trying to label cryptocurrency security. And to me, that's an additional risk on a project if simply the government can label something a security and kind of just suppress the price for so long. If you look at XRP, that's like a perfect example. Ever since they got that security issue, it suppressed the price and it's still today doing pretty much nothing. But looking at that, I really wanted to reduce my risk as much as possible and still be able to make significant amount of money. So I was taking the path of just Bitcoin only, um, basically trying to sell most of my other cryptos and kind of just sticking with Bitcoin because I just really believed in those fundamentals and core principles that Bitcoin stood for. And ultimately, I eventually stumbled upon Kaspa. There was a person I used to look in the comments of the Bitcoin on comments on CoinMarketCap, and someone on there, his he's on Twitter. His name is Hovar, but he said he commented saying that Satoshi made Kaspa. Now, instantly when I heard that, especially just basically taking the Bitcoin route, someone claiming that Satoshi made another coin seems pretty dumb because it's like he's an anonymous person, he doesn't talk. Why would someone even care to try to shill a coin by saying that? So I
Yeah.
decided to just look at it because I was really deep in Bitcoin. And instantly when you look at Caspa, obviously the chart just grabs your attention. You're like, okay, definitely there's something happening here to make the chart do this. There's it's not just like random that a chart looks this well. So then I just kind of dove into the basic information that's on CoinMarketCap, and there was like an article on there that was stating that the founder of Caspa is in the Ethereum white paper. And when
Yeah.
I saw that, I was really just interested. That kind of really got me thinking about it. And then I looked into that. I saw that basically the technology of Caspa was 10 years worth of work because the founder of Caspa has been just making protocols all these years. And I also later found out that all his protocols are basically the reason why a lot of your crypto projects that you love exist. Without his work on protocols, a lot of these other crypto projects would not be here today. There's someone named Captain Sats, I believe, on Twitter. He posts a lot about showing other developers and other CEOs of projects thanking Jonathan and his protocols for basically helping them make their cryptocurrency. So looking at those fundamentals and then finally going onto the website of Caspa, I started looking at the vision, found out that it was fair launch, just like Bitcoin, that it was proof of work. And personally, I'm not a Caspa maxi and I'm not a Bitcoin maxi. To me, I'm just a proof of work maxi. So I personally like Bitcoin and Caspa. And I think anyone that's in Caspa should basically view it that way. Um, of course, everyone has their own opinions, but my opinion is that I think Bitcoin and Caspa, they complement each other and they actually serve their own unique purposes. And I think they're going to both do really well for the foreseeable future. And I just believe, of course, Caspa would present a higher ROI just based on the fact that it is much cheaper than Bitcoin today. But so I kept diving into the vision of Caspa and seeing that it's tapping into a market that has yet to be tapped into, and that is living out the currency part of crypto, which I believe a lot of cryptos have just kind of forsaken that. And now it's kind of just focused on NFTs and smart contracts and all of those kind of other gambling things, in my opinion. That's how I kind of view them. But that was really the focus. And the developers of Caspa decided to purposely not take that route of making this project initially with those things to try to build the best base layer for a proof of work in the world. We've never seen what these people behind Caspa are doing in any other proof of work project. So Caspa is true innovation at its finest because it decided to take the route of adopting the principles and philosophies that Bitcoiners love and make true innovation with that technology. And it's basically just scaling the Nakamoto consensus. And that's why we have the block DAG instead of the blockchain. And basically, Gaspa, I believe, is just on a path to tap into a market that has never been tapped in before, which is that currency part. And I think a cryptocurrency that's a huge market to tap into. We're talking this is something that is to be adopted by the world because a project that is focused on scaling Ethereum or just making NFTs and all those kind of things better, that's not really a global thing. Not everyone likes NFTs. Not everyone likes to be in that kind of world of crypto, but cryptocurrency at the basis, the basic part of it is just mainly just being a currency, global, available for all, cheap, fast, and maintains people purchasing power against holding fiat currencies, which over time always lose their value. And over time, eventually, I believe that we're moving towards that more like cashless society, which we would want a currency that is permissionless and is not going to be heavily controlled by anyone. And proof of work, I believe, gives the best certainty of this type of fundamentals that you want in a currency. And to be money, I believe it needs to be able to be a savings account and a medium of exchange. And with Bitcoin, it's, in my opinion, it's not really money, or some people say it's money, but it's just really bad money, because you don't really want to use Bitcoin was meant to be used, and it's lost that vision from the white paper, and now it's that store of value, which by no means is insignificant. That is really a great path that it's taken. And I like to say that its mission has failed successfully, because it's getting adopted now in the ETF world and institutions and all that kind of stuff, which wasn't really the point, but nonetheless, it's going to maintain the value, and it is digital gold, in my opinion. That's how I do view it today as well. But Kaspa is meant to be spent, it's meant to be used, and it's meant to be saved. And I think the path that Kaspa is taking is a really, really good path. And I decided to just make content solely for Kaspa, just simply because I literally only hold Kaspa and Bitcoin in my portfolio. And there's enough people talking about Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff. But I believe Kaspa can tap into this market and get a lot of adoption. And I believe it needs someone that is solely creating Kaspa content, and is just simply just trying to give value. And I like to make content and show people exactly what I'm doing with my money, so that other people can hopefully learn and gain some value from it. And I know I go against a lot of other people's ideas of crypto, but personally, I just like to do what is fun for me, what works with my financial situation. And this is the whole point of personal finance. It's supposed to be personal to you, and you're supposed to make it work for you. So what I'm doing for me is working for me, and this is the path that I've taken. So that's why I make the content that I make, and I try to keep it very humble. I don't like to do price predictions so much, because I just believe that truly, if you just look at all the fundamentals, you can figure out that it is undervalued for the most part. And in the future, when Caspa doesn't want to adopt smart contracts and all those kind of other stuff, I really think it's going to be a really good contender to compete with Ethereum in the future, as Ethereum is just has a lot of problems going for it. And I think that Caspa can definitely steal that market share in the future. So I believe Caspa is heavily undervalued, because simply it's the best proof of work in existence in terms of technology. So I believe if it's under any other proof of work cryptocurrency, I think it's undervalued. And then after that, once we have smart contracts and more adoption, I believe it can be a good contender for the next decade or even more. So that's why I cover it, because I mean, this is what I believe. These are my convictions, and my channel basically showcases all those fundamentals that will maybe help you understand why I have this conviction on Caspa. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got to where I am today.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for this introduction. That's definitely great to hear. I definitely have a lot of questions on this to educate the audience, and to also like discuss a lot of the things that I get maybe not on a daily basis. I mean, Caspa is one of my largest bags, but by no means I'm a Caspa maxi or a Caspa exclusive, etc. I have a lot of projects in my portfolio, and I'm in kind of this jump hunting sphere. You're of course solely dedicated to this, so of course you probably can answer these things better than me. So that's also why I wanted to bring you on this channel. Let's get to some of the questions that I get very frequently. So, what do you have to say to all of these people that call Caspa a ghost chain? Because you probably heard this thesis or people that say that, and in my opinion, they just don't really understand what Caspa stands for. Why don't you clarify a bit on that?
Yeah, so when people say Caspa is a ghost chain, is basically saying that nothing's happening on it. All the majority of the transactions are just block rewards that are being paid out to miners, and basically no one's really using it. Now, I like to say right now, Kaspa is mainly fulfilling the store of value part because it's still in the development phase and it's an unfinished project. Um, so while it's in this phase, it's mainly serving as like a second Bitcoin almost because it's just fulfilling that store value because the fundamentals are so sound that people do want to just hold it. Now, obviously, people are still using it. If you look on Twitter, there are people actually using it for payment for goods and services. I tweeted like a week ago, I paid my barber in Caspa. I you know
Really?
I literally use Caspa myself to pay people, to onboard people. I send them some Caspa to onboard them because it's a currency, and as a currency, you want people to be hodling it. For something to be money, you want people who want to continuously hold it. When you think of the U.S. dollar, you spend it and you also save it. I personally have some cash saving in my bank account. Yeah, it's losing value, but because it's adopted, you save it and you spend it. So right now, Caspa is trying to get to the adoption phase. So right now, people are simply mainly saving it, but there are transactions going on. People are using it. And for sure, as more adoption comes around, there will be more use cases for it, especially when smart contracts come. So yeah, like it's people that say it's a ghost chain just really are lacking education. They don't understand why people would even want to hold it and buy it. And those are because of those fundamentals, the technology, what it brings to the space. A lot of people like to sometimes say that technology doesn't really matter, and it's only hype. But in Caspa's case, the technology matters because the technology and the fundamentals actually bring the hype for Caspa. So Caspa just has that unique case where the tech really does matter because it's doing things that's never been done before, and it's basically becoming the standard for proof of work. And that's what Jonathan says is one of his clips, that he wants Caspa to be the standard, so that if anyone's going to make a new proof of work coin, they're going to use Caspa's technology. And if you've heard, there's been a lot of Caspa forks. People have been copying and pasting the code and making a new coin and saying, hey, Caspa is awesome, but buy our coin. And I like to say Caspa forks just basically tell you what you should be buying. You should avoid them at all costs because it makes no sense to be copying and pasting code to make another coin about something that, like, you're literally copy and pasting something that's not even finished. So it just makes no sense. They're not bringing anything new to the table. There's usually no fundamental value other than the fact that it's ASIC resistant. So a bunch of GPU guys are going to go over there, mine it, and typically they've been pump and dumps. And I've called them out before in the past to just be careful and stay away completely from it. And at the end it just crashed. All of these other forks just kind of crashed and went to continue to just lose value. So we already have the example. Bitcoin was a proof of work coin that was heavily respected. A ton of forks exist. I think over like 60 something forks exist. And we have history to tell us these forks just simply don't make it. The main currency is the one that really is going to always stay on top.
Gotcha, gotcha. And related to this, also another question that I get very, very frequently. Um, do you consider Caspa a retail coin? Because I do see why people would say that it lacks the appeal to institutions. And institutions, as we all know, smart money is what moves the market, it's not dumb money. And some other competitor projects, let's say like Solana in the past, or say, if we're looking at new projects for this cycle, they have a very heavy backing from institutions, which it will mean that they have worse tokenomics, but it also means that they're perhaps going to get more adoption and more money flowing into the system when it comes to smart money. So, do you consider Caspa still a retail coin, or how do you see the appeal for institutions for a project that is completely fair launch, fully decentralized, with no pre-mining, etc., and with all these fundamentals that we're well aware of?
Mhm. Well, the interesting thing about that is if you don't know the back history of Caspa, it was being developed by a company called DAG Labs. And DAG Labs had funding from an private investor basically called Polychain, which Polychain has connection with Coinbase and all that kind of stuff. So right there, that's already telling you that the bigger players, they find value in Kaspa, and they wanted to already send money to DAG Labs to help develop this coin. Now, Polychain and DAG Labs agreed that the only route for proof of work to be successful is to take the fair launch path, which is to not give any allocations to anyone and to start it from scratch, from zero. And that's why Kaspa started from a zero market cap. But I can assure you that there's these crypto institutions that are definitely looking into Kaspa because you can't beat the community and you can't be trying to become global money. That's a market that is huge. That's literally everyone. So institutions, there's only so many institutions, but when you're talking about like the whole world trying to make people adopt to become something global money, these institutions are going to see it as value the same way they're seeing Bitcoin as value, mainly because there's more people that really like Bitcoin and are involved with it. And the institutions now are finally realizing, oh yeah, Bitcoin is digital gold. Oh, it's this, it does have value. Let's make an ETF for it and let's start tapping into this, because basically if you can't beat them, you want to join them, because you just can't stop decentralized money, because anyone can purchase it anywhere across the world. Anyone, it's being mined all across the world. So Caspo is a global project. It's not just for one country. So yeah, for sure, other coins will possibly make it easier to the top, just simply because it has that backing. But when you think about it, Caspa basically was given for free to the world, and you're able to buy it before the VCs and those private investors and all those bigger players actually see the value in it. So personally, to me, I just think like, yeah, it's mainly a retail coin, but I think that's good because it's building a really strong base of a community that really wants to actually hold the coin. If you want to be money, you want to have people that really want to hold it. It's very significant.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And what about the smart contracts question? Do you think that Kaspa needs smart contracts?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And basically, when we look at other cryptocurrencies and related in proof of work, we have Bitcoin, and Bitcoin never really needed smart contracts, and it got to where it is today. Now, of course, it has a lot of unique fundamentals that could get it to where it is today. But then there's other proof of work cryptocurrencies that are still pretty much relevant. I mean, they're becoming irrelevant in my opinion because of Caspa existing, but they're still around, and those are things like Litecoin, um, Bitcoin Cash. I won't say Dogecoin because Dogecoin has, again, unique reasons why people want to just dump their money in there. But yeah, things like Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, those things are still around. There's still people that believe in those things. And there's not really like a big smart contract world a part of that. So I think, I mean, with Caspa being as fast as it is, it could become like that medium of exchange. You're going to want to use Caspa to swap in and out of exchanges, or swap in and out of, in the future when smart contracts come, into USDT and all that kind of stuff. But does Caspa need it? Ultimately, I think it probably will in the future, just simply because you need more use cases and usage on the network, so that you can, of course, pay the miners in the future on fees. And I truly believe that Caspa is going to compete with Ethereum mainly. So um, it needs it, but it's not highly necessary right now. Like Caspa is okay to live without it, because it's much better to focus on that base layer and making sure we're building smart contracts on a foundation, a solid foundation, instead of like a foundation of sand, where we're just implementing like a copy and paste basically version of smart contracts that every other cryptocurrency offers. I'm pretty sure Jonathan wants to make a smart contract implementation to Caspa that literally only works on Caspa. So it's to, again, innovate smart contract technology itself as well. So Caspa is really just it's future minded. It's not just thinking of right now, what can we do right now to bring adoption and just basically like pump the coin basically. No, they literally want this coin to get adopted for the future. So that's why they're focusing on the things that matter the most, which is that base layer, to make sure it's operating the best capacity as possible and operating as the best proof of work in the world. So ultimately, I think later it may need it, but right now it's not as necessary. There's I think enough volume and reasons that people would use Caspa today.
Gotcha. And what about all the Bitcoin comparison? Is Kaspa aiming to replace Bitcoin? What do you have to say about all of this?
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to be making some videos about this Bitcoin and Caspa thing, because like I personally started buying Bitcoin again just simply because originally I was only buying Caspa. I sold all my Bitcoin to buy Caspa because I was looking at Caspa as purely just a financial investment vehicle for that time period. So I knew that my ROI potential would be better with Caspa. So I made that move. And it paid off, and now I'm gonna start just kind of diversing back a little bit into Bitcoin because of some things that I believe about it, which I'll go into a video later. But a lot of people do. Some people think that Caspa will completely replace Bitcoin, and 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 that could be a possibility. Now, I don't believe it's anytime soon at all because there's just a lot of unknowns for Caspa. Currently, it's still in its development phase. It's nowhere near completed. It's going to be bringing a lot of things in the future that are just yet to be seen. But the path it's taking has been really great. I mean, it's been pretty much like perfect. You just got to be really patient for things to happen, but it's happening. So the comparison with Bitcoin and Caspa, I just like to think that they complement each other. Um, Bitcoin has its own unique use cases that Caspa can never replicate, which is an anonymous founder. You can't replicate that. The 21 million supply, Caspa does not have a 21 million supply, so there's a much bigger supply, but that's on purpose because Caspa doesn't want to be so scarce where literally you don't want to use this coin at all. You want to save it. So there's a higher supply so that it's less scarce and people would be encouraged more to use it because you're not trying to just hodl it like Bitcoin with only a 21 million supply and there's 8 billion people in the world if you're doing that math. Yeah, so like Bitcoin, you just can't replicate it. Bitcoin has an adoption level that you simply cannot replicate in a year's time, in a 5 years time. Bitcoin is pretty adopted. So people who are thinking that Caspa can just beat Bitcoin, I don't think that's possible. And if not, if it is, it would need to take at least minimum a decade for that to happen because you just can't beat the Bitcoin adoption. I mean, you literally have a country buying Bitcoin, making it legal for their country. You have now ETFs made for Bitcoin. There's just a lot of things that Bitcoin has that cannot be replicated in just a few years. So I think ultimately they complement each other. Without Bitcoin, there's no Caspa. That's pretty much fair. But Caspa is what Bitcoin was supposed to be. So Caspa is unique enough that I believe a Bitcoin Caspa portfolio is going to be really smart move for the foreseeable future.
Gotcha. And we actually have a question about this that I want to bring up. So, we have two parts. So, it's true that Kaspa plans on not onboarding any dApps or protocols. They want to be the next Bitcoin and not Ethereum. If so, how will Kaspa be considered an excellent store of value with a total supply of 22.5 billion tokens out of 28.7 max supply?
Yeah, so no, there are plans to have dApps and smart contracts and all those kind of things in the future. And the plan is not to be the next Bitcoin because you simply can't be the next Bitcoin. There's what Bitcoin has achieved, which is the narrative that people want to adopt as that digital gold, is you really can't replicate that. Once you've kind of achieved that, it has that going for it. But what like Giannis and I said in the past, like he just wants Caspa to be like just a competitor in the global financial markets, and that's ultimately just becoming a medium of exchange. And just if you want to use any cryptocurrency, you want to use Caspa to to move money around or stuff like that. Like personally, when I'm buying Caspa right now, I buy XLM to buy Caspa because XLM is really cheap and it's fast and it allows me to quickly get into an exchange and swap it for Caspa. So I believe Caspa can adopt that. And because with something like XLM, you don't have all those fundamentals that gives you security of mind, peace of mind when you're holding XLM because the fundamentals are completely different than Caspa. But with Caspa, since it's proof of work, it's much easier to be understood because we have 15 years of a proof of work existing and it's being adopted. So it's easier for people to adopt Caspa because of the fact that Bitcoin exists. Bitcoin's existence helps Caspa's adoption. So Caspa is going to tap into and that smart contract world and all that kind of stuff. And ultimately, that's why I believe, yeah, it's going to be the next Ethereum, if anything. If you want to say it's the next Bitcoin, I don't think it fits that, but it fits more of being like the next Ethereum for the future.
Yeah, and what do you think about comparison to actually currency payment cryptocurrencies like Dash or Litecoin?
Yeah, so with something, I'll start with Litecoin at least. With something like Litecoin, um, Litecoin has fundamentals that are not going to be unique enough, and it's already been kind of too late because it's been around, I think, for 13 years now or something like that.
Yeah, a lot.
And Bitcoin has always been putting your money in Bitcoin is always been better than holding Litecoin. And that's what I was saying, how like you want your coin to be held onto. And it's important to be looking at the Caspa Bitcoin chart because you want to see Caspa against Bitcoin. And if you look at that, it's currently has had a good trajectory of outperforming Bitcoin. And you want to see your coin outperforming Bitcoin if it's worthy enough to just continuously keep holding it for the foreseeable future. But with Litecoin, the technology is just old and it's not really true innovation. It's a hard fork of Bitcoin. So that's already a fundamental that's just not as great as Caspa is literally more built from scratch and it's completely new. Like it's not something that's just like a copy and paste really. So with Litecoin, I mean, if you're looking at technology, in terms of technology, Caspa beats it every single time. Litecoin has like 2.5-minute block time still. It will still struggle if it still gets higher traffic in there. It will still eventually start to slow down. And Caspa has way better technology in terms of being a currency and adopted for all because you can't replicate the Caspa community. And the Caspa community is a really solid community that you want for a project. A community that's wanting to educate people, wanting to teach people about Caspa in a more serious way of looking at it. But then looking at Litecoin is a really good way to see that it's possible. If you're looking at Litecoin's daily transaction volume, it's hitting like 1 million transactions per day sometimes. It's still getting some kind of adoption. So if Litecoin can do that as a hard fork, proof of work crypto, I think Caspa is definitely on that same kind of trajectory over the next few years.
Gotcha. And come on, guys, smash up the likes. Only 35 or 100 people watching. Come on, guys, you can do better than this for all the alpha that our guest is bringing us to the table today. Quai Network is Kaspa Killer? Do you know this project?
I've never heard of this project, so
Me
it's
either.
not a Casper killer if I've never heard of it. That means it's barely adopted. But but for sure, there's if it's not proof of work, it's already not a Casper killer. Uh, being proof of work, being proof of stake, being those kind of two different things are completely different. So, but
Yeah,
I've
it's,
never
it's
seen it
not
before.
even tracked here, so I have no
It's
idea.
not even tracked. I
Yeah,
think
do you
I
see?
probably might have stumbled upon it because there's a lot of people on my Twitter that will continuously put something else and they're like, this, buy this before people realize it's better than Bitcoin and Caspa. And it's like projects that are like not even started yet. And it's just a website kind of giving you all the information of what's going on, but it's insanely new. So, I mean, there's really no Caspa killer. Like it's not really killing.
Yeah. What do you have to say about that? Do you see any competition for actually what Kaspa is aiming to become specifically?
Currently, no. I have a
Interesting.
video about that where I say Caspa has no competition, but yeah, I don't believe it has any competition. Simply because it's tapping into a market, like I said, that no one really wants to tap into, which is becoming a currency, and that's like literally being used for day-to-day transactions and stuff like that, or a medium of exchange. A lot of these other projects that are coming out would basically they still have the focus of smart contracts, like initially, like that's what they're going at initially is smart contracts. We're going to have dApps, we're going to have all those kind of stuff. And Caspa is so unique that it's like, no, we're not doing those things first. We want to build the best base layer so that people can use Caspa and it's so instant. It's just like using the internet. Like it's just like, hey, I want to send Caspa to this person and I click a button and it does it and it happens instantly. So that's like the difference. Like every other project is focusing on the smart contracts and all that kind of stuff. That
Yeah.
has a lot of competition and you're fighting against a lot because Ethereum exists and all these other hundreds of other crypto projects exist that are already in the smart contract world. Caspa is not in that world yet, and it's competing for basically the standard to become the best base layer for a layer one in the crypto space. So to me, there's no competition to that. No one's giving better technology than what Caspa is offering.
Yeah. What do you think Kaspa will hit peak bull run? Questions for Kaspa Silver. I know you don't like to do price prediction. I know from your videos that I don't think I ever heard you make a prediction or anything.
I make
What?
predictions based on market cap. Basically, that's why I try to take the route.
Okay.
Just market cap and just teach people how you should be looking at market cap and comparing it to Caspa. And that's like the easiest way to know because you really can't predict the top. You can't predict
That's true.
the bottom perfectly. You can give good guesses. But ultimately just look at market cap of other coins. Like personally, I did one time I was looking at market caps of all proof of works. And I was looking at them in terms of them reaching the kind of adoption area where Caspa has reached, which is anytime a proof of work has gotten this kind of attention and has excelled to the billions of market cap. When I was doing the research on that, the minimum case of a proof of work getting to this level, the minimum case I saw was like an 11 billion market cap. That was the minimum case. And then the medium case was about like 25 billion. And then the highest case is 65 billion plus. And those are looking at proof of work coins only. But then you can also look at other coins from the last run that have similar supply, similar adoption levels, and how high those market caps got up to. And just basically look at it. I mean, like Dogecoin got to like an 80 billion market cap, and that coin literally doesn't really offer anything crazy. It just has adoption from the fact that they're hoping that Elon pumps their bags. So that's pretty much all they're hoping for, Elon to say something. And personally, I would not like to be in a coin where one person speaks and that moves the price completely.
Yes.
So that's a very important thing about Caspa, that the founder of Caspa, Jonathan, yes, he's not anonymous like Bitcoin that has an anonymous founder, but it's he's practicing perfect founder to be a founder. He's doing it perfectly where he's kind of just like quiet. He's disappearing
Yeah.
from the scene and he's letting everyone else continue working on the project, letting other people kind of have a say in it. And he barely talks, which is he knows it's smart to do that because he's like, hey, if I want this to be adopted for the world, I don't need to be talking about it because then it's going to be labeled that there's a person behind it specifically. And so as a founder, he's doing a really great job where basically like there's a saying I think somewhere on Twitter that like for this to become money, like the doctor the patient survived, but the doctor basically died. And because DAG Labs was the company developing Caspa and was gonna have a say basically in the Caspa project, but it eventually failed and died off. And this was absolutely necessary for Caspa to get the type of adoption level that it has today, because people don't realize it, that there's a big community of people who really want decentralization. They love proof of work, and they love the philosophies and principles that Bitcoin holds, which is like a hedge against your fiat currency that you're holding that has inflation forever, pretty much. You know, there's a big group of people that like that. So Kaspa took a really, really great route on the path it took, and that's why it's getting that kind of adoption.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Very smart answer. And guys, Chuck just reminded the subscribe to Kaspa Silver. I've pinned a comment right here, so you can find out his channel. And on Twitter, what's your handle? Kaspa Silver. Yeah, there you go. Somebody says Shido is better. What would you say about that?
It's probably because well, I just looked it up right now, and it's a wrapped ETH token, so it's already not better. But when people say things are better, it's mainly because a lot of people have ROI in mind. They only want to make money, and that's it. But for adoption in cryptocurrency as well, there's a lot of people that are older, and if we want those people to get adopted into crypto, those people don't want to be researching their coins 24/7. They don't want to be worried about it just dumping 20% in a single hour or something like that. So you want to have fundamentals and all that kind of stuff that will attract people who just simply want to, hey, I just want to park my money somewhere because I believe it does have value, and I can keep it there for the long run. And that's the thing. Kaspa has a future mindset. It to me, it's something that I look at as, yeah, I'm gonna keep buying this thing, dollar cost averaging. Will I take profits? Of course, depending on my financial situation and where the market is. But longer term, I think Kaspa is going to stay relevant. And I'm actually going to make a video soon talking about that, because there was a tweet that I think Altcoin Daily said. He said, will Kaspa be here in 10 years? So I'm looking forward to making a video giving 10 reasons why I believe Kaspa will be here in 10 years. So, but yeah, like Kaspa's not only like, yes, there's that financial aspect to it, but I just look at the bigger picture, and that is just literally being able to hold an asset that will maintain your purchasing power against your melting ice cube fiat currency, which is inflated forever. So that's something that's really significant, and I think something that people want in their portfolio.
Yeah, exactly. And we have another questions on this. Do you know much about what dApps could be integrated with Kaspa? And do you think Kaspa will enter the NFT sphere? That's an interesting question. I don't think I've heard this one.
Yeah, I believe it will. I mean, because it's going to be integrating smart contracts. I don't know all the details and like the tech behind that kind of stuff. That's more something I would need to research more when it comes around. But yeah, when we enter that space, there's going to be, of course, the NFTs, probably the tokens being made on the Kaspa network, and all that kind of stuff. Which to me, I don't really care about those kind of stuff. But the thing is, you can't replace greed. You can't get rid of greed. Greed is always going to exist, and this is why I believe that in Bitcoin's case, I mean, Bitcoin now has this thing called ordinals. These ordinals are basically like NFTs kind of and tokens on the Bitcoin network. And some people are saying like, oh, well, Bitcoin, you know, it's not going to survive because it needs fees. And who's going to pay those fees? Well, the problem is right now, looking at the facts, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the number two cryptos. Those have the highest fees, and they continue being paid. People are still paying those fees, and it's mainly because you can't replace greed. There's always going to be someone that wants to try to get rich quick. So they're going to go on these networks, go buy an NFT for $200, pay $50 in fees for something that they bought $200 for to try to just get rich quick. So you just can't get rid of greed. So eventually, I believe that, yeah, these things are going to be adopted and people are going to use them, but it's going to be much better to just hold the actual network coin that is offering those things than diving into those things, unless you really just want to uh, gamble with your money a little bit and try to make more quicker, which it's possible you can do it, but just, personally, that's just not my style of investing.
Yeah, understandable. Just a quick question to digress for me. Are there any spots in the picture for 59 or it's 79? So, bro, you're just confusing my GBP, British pounds, with US dollars. So it's 59.99. So it's around $78, something like that. If you want the discount, you can just apply 10% off if you pay yearly. But that's it. I haven't increased the prices. That's just like the conversion. All right. And you guys know the Patreon, you know the drill. It's always the same benefits. It's listed right here. The link is the first one down in the description. Now back to the video because today we're only talking about Kaspa. Now, a few more questions that I want to go through. There's one that I wanted to read actually. Let me just. Oh, a funny one. What do you think that Satoshi created Kaspa?
Yeah, I actually have one video that kind of goes into
I
it,
saw.
and I decided to not continue going that route just simply because it's up in the air. Like there's really no certain thing about it. But nonetheless, this is another great fundamental because some people truly believe it. And so, I mean, that's unique to Caspa. And that's another fundamental that only Caspa has that some people will literally find it, research it, and be like, whoa, maybe Satoshi is behind Caspa. And you can't replicate that when on another coin because you can't replicate Jonathan. I mean, he's the founder of Caspa. You can't really replicate what he's done in the space, his background in the space, his hundreds of thousands of citations and different white papers and protocols in the space. So yeah, I don't really go and say like, yeah, it's for sure. I believe maybe Bitcoin was created by a group of people anyway. So Satoshi could be maybe a group of people, who knows? But ultimately, like there's evidence out there that people think it's a possibility, and I think that's just a positive for Caspa because it does attract people to learn about Caspa at least. And who knows? Maybe in the future, Satoshi comes out and moves his million Bitcoin and says, "Hey, I'm just gonna dump it and buy Caspa now."
You know what? I always say like it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It matters what people believe, right? It matters
Right.
like what hype they create, and if this is
Yeah,
another thing to bring hype to the project, then it's all for the better for Casper.
it's
You know what
positive. Yeah.
exactly. Um, Interesting question. Any concerns about energy, climate change, FUD with proof of work?
Yeah, I've done videos on this actually, and ultimately the biggest indicator to debunk this is the fact that currently right now there's an ETF for Bitcoin. If these institutions cared about this climate change narrative, this ESG narrative, I believe they would never have proposed for a Bitcoin ETF. BlackRock has done it. I've done videos and I kind of gone deep into BlackRock, even the CEO saying that he's kind of trying to step away from that ESG narrative because it got too political and he didn't really like it too much. So ultimately, I mean, this narrative just it doesn't really hold too much water because I mean, Bitcoin's still number one. It's still there. There's ETFs that want to adopt the Bitcoin, and if they were really concerned about proof of work, they wouldn't be doing this. But nonetheless, Caspa is a lot more efficient in proof of work than Bitcoin. So um, we have Bitcoin being adopted, and then on top of that, Caspa is already even more efficient because that it doesn't orphan blocks. And if you learn about that, when Bitcoin orphans blocks, it literally just deletes those blocks. But the mining power that was made to make those blocks was basically just wasted. And also the fact that Caspa has taken the ASIC route means that it's also more efficient because ASIC mining is to be more efficient in mining and to not waste so much power and energy. I mean, I'm literally running a miner behind me,
Yeah,
and
I was gonna ask you exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's taking like 100 watts, like, and literally my electric bill hasn't even gone up pretty much at all, and I'm mining
Wow.
Caspa in my house. So yeah, like it's pretty much like I just this narrative of people being worried about that, the facts just don't hold up to what's actually happened, reality, what people really care about. And ultimately, you can't stop something that's a global project because proof of work mining is global. There's people across the whole entire world that are into mining.
Gotcha. Can I ask you to clarify, just in case somebody's actually interested in mining Casper, like how to start, what's the cost, what the tokens that you generate on a monthly basis, stuff like that.
Yeah, so right now, Kaspa mining, just purely off of like investment perspective of Kaspa mining, all that kind of stuff, it's not profitable right now. You would probably be better off buying Kaspa itself, than getting a miner, simply because you won't make back the Kaspa that you could have got when you just bought it on the spot market. Now, if Kaspa's price increases, I think it needs to increase pretty significantly. I think it needs to be at least like 15 or 20 cents to now start making it. Yeah, buying a miner, you might make more Caspa than just buying it at the spot. But again, it's like an investment because it's betting on the fact that, yeah, I believe Caspa's price is going to continue going up in the future. So buying this miner now, I'm going to make more Caspa back. But you also have to look at the hash rate. When the hash rate increases a lot, you start to lose how much Caspa you're going to make. So, I mean, personally, if you want to just simply support the network and get involved and start mining Caspa, looking at the cheapest option, which is the KS0 Pro right now. Yeah, if you want to just support the network and kind of just get experience with mining, I think the KS0 Pro is your best option. It's going to be like the cheapest right now. I think you can get it for around like $500. You can maybe even find someone who wants to just sell it for cheaper, straight up to you. But yeah, I mean, it's tough because if you're not like someone who has a lot of money that can invest into a bunch of them, if you're just looking to like get one, getting one probably won't be the best if you care about the financial investment of it. Personally, I believe you're gonna ROI in the dollar amount. You just currently you won't ROI in the Caspa amount in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's you gotta do your research and figure out if you care about making enough Caspa to ROI instead of just buying it on the spot market.
Gotcha. Why the Casper name was chosen? Any link with Casper or just Master? Do you know anything about the origin of the name?
Yeah, yeah. So Caspa, the name Caspa is actually it's Aramaic, and the word itself in Aramaic means money or silver. So that's why my name
Really?
is Kaspa Silver. Basically, it's silver, silver. But yeah, it's Caspa
Oh,
is Aramaic for silver and or money. So yeah, the Caspa name is an awesome name in my opinion. I love the name. I think it fits perfectly, and the coin itself is kind of like crooked. It has crooked edges, like it's not a perfect
yeah,
circle
that's true.
because of it's trying to like kind of make like an old silver coin that's been rusted over time. So that's the whole purpose of it. Caspa is supposed to be silver, digital silver, because digital silver was a lot more liquid and it was able to be used a lot more easier than gold. With gold, you want to hold that more. So that's why people say Caspa could be the true digital silver because Litecoin tried to do this as well. But I think Caspa's technology can fulfill this a whole lot better.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I knew about the edges, but I didn't know about the name. So
Mhm.
I discovered something myself as well. That's very interesting. Okay, I think yeah, that's enough for today. That was super great. I'm sure that a lot of all of the audience found a lot of value into what you had to say, and myself as well. I'm very glad that you stopped by. I really thank you. I really appreciate it. I think you're doing great, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Like you're I think you're definitely the most informative YouTuber in the Casper sphere, and keep it on, man. Like anything else that you wanna add to the entire conversation? Anything else that you want to conclude this with?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. And I hope you guys did enjoy the value that was possibly given from this. You can always check out my channel. You can always reach out to me. You can DM me on Twitter via Kaspa Silver or on Discord. I hang out in the Kaspa Discord a lot on there. So yeah, you can always reach out to me and ask any questions or anything like that. I'm always happy and willing to help. There's some people that are actually trying to impersonate me on Twitter now, and just know like don't fall for those guys. Like I'm not scam you. I promise you, I don't do trading. I don't promise you any quick returns anyway. Okay, so just these scammers could literally do much better if they would just buy Bitcoin and Kaspa for the long term, but they rather try to scam people. So just don't fall for that.
Yeah, I have the same problem. And remember, guys, that we won't DM you. We won't ask you to go on a copy trading website.
Yeah.
So beware of scammers, guys. Like Discord, Twitter, Telegram, they're everywhere. So be aware of scammers. Like we're the real ones. We won't DM you unless you DM us. It's always like that. Good to remember. Okay, so thank you so much. Appreciate you again. I've linked all of your social down in the description, down in the pinned comment. So yeah, you know where to find Kaspa Silver as well. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.